The Tolkien Road, Episode 11, The Lord of the Rings, The Choices of Master Samwise. All right, go ahead. The Tolkien Road, 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 the Tolkien Road. Hey there, fellow travelers. Welcome to the Tolkien Road, a long walk through Middle-earth. On this episode, we continue our journey through The Lord of the Rings with Book 4, Chapter 10, The Choices of Master Samwise. Before we get started, why not hop on over to iTunes and leave the Tolkien Road a rating and feedback? It's a great way to show your support for the show and takes less than a minute. Or you can stop by TolkienRoad.com, learn about previous episodes, and say hey. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/TolkienRoad, and you can find us on Twitter via @TolkienRoad. Thanks for listening, and enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tolkien Road, episode number 111. Happy 11th
Unbelievable.
episode, Greta.
11th. Happy 11th episode to you, John.
Yes.
I can't believe we're here.
I know. Amazing.
Kind of snuck up, huh?
It extremely snuck up on us.
Mm-hmm.
Snucked up.
Snucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, but we planned it perfectly. We planned it just to finish the two towers.
It's amazing how that worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So great.
We're brilliant.
Unbelievable.
Even when we don't mean to be, we're brilliant.
I think we're more brilliant when we don't mean to be or try to be.
Funny how that works, huh?
Isn't it funny?
Yeah. So, wow, what a chapter.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, this is. There are many things. There's so many things that are great about Tolkien, but I was thinking to myself, this is a chapter, and there's certain things in this chapter that only Tolkien could have written. There's things throughout that are that are great, but maybe somebody else could have come up with them too. But this is one of those chapters where there's a couple of things that I think only Tolkien could have written. And I'm
interested to hear what those are.
Well, we'll get to them.
Yeah, sweet.
We'll get to them. Hey, special thanks to our executive producer, Dr. William Hutton.
Dr. Hutton.
As well as our other generous patrons. We now have 13 patrons because we just had a new one, Al Taylor, join us recently.
Nice. Hey, Al.
Hey, Al. Thanks for your support.
Yes, thank you.
What that also means is that we're nearing our Valar, right? We have 14 Valar spots, and so those are the people who will forever be known as our Valar, right? Because they were the ones who were they're supporting from the time that we began asking for financial support. So, so there's one spot left. So if you want that one spot,
must be hasty.
You better be hasty, right? This is a time to be hasty.
Yes,
this is
one
a time
of the
to be
few
hasty.
times we give you permission to be hasty.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
If you'd like to contribute to the Tolkien Road, visit us on Patreon at patreon.com/Tolkien Road. And we will look forward to hearing from you over there.
Yeah,
by the way,
will.
By the way, we're doing some great videos over there that are kind of supplemental to the stuff we do on the podcast. There's a few free ones over there that you can check out, even if you're not a patron. But it'll give you a little taste of what we do. And I gotta say, I've just started a series on Ainulindale where I'm going we did a podcast episode on Ainulindale, and it was great. It was one of our first ones, but on this series, I'm literally going in fine detail through every bit of Ainulindale. And Ainulindale is one of those stories that's just it's so rich. It's so rich. It's like eating super dense chocolate cake, and you have a few bites, and you're just all right,
ganache on top.
I just gotta take a break right now because there's so much. It's delicious, but it's it's just almost too much to process in one moment.
Yourself.
So because of that, I'm doing these videos to help you process just all of the incredible stuff that's in Ainulindale.
Right
so
on.
go over and
Sounds
check
great.
those out. We also do a poetry we've got some on letters of Tolkien. We got some on poetry over there. So, hey, you know, $5 a month over on Patreon, you get to support us. I mean, your favorite podcast, obviously.
Obviously.
And you get all kinds of cool free content. So
it's basically a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the sweetest deal ever.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, even Starbucks doesn't give you that, and they charge you more than $5 for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, seriously.
Just saying.
We're like star jerks.
No, I actually love Starbucks.
I'm just being silly.
Oh, but yeah, we do think their coffee is overpriced.
Well, but the point is that you can go buy
But
overpriced
our
coffee.
Patreon account is not overpriced. That's what we're trying to say.
Right. We're not trying to start a war with Starbucks here.
No, we're really not. In fact, if we'd love to endorse Starbucks if they'd like to pay us to.
Yeah, well.
Not like that's going to happen. But anyway.
Of course that's going to happen. What are you talking about? We're on our 111st episode. All right.
I can't believe it.
I'm
just giddy.
Yes. So, secret word. Do we have anybody guess it?
Yes.
All right. So.
We did. It was Puck.
Puck.
Yes. And Amanda was the first one.
Right on, Amanda.
Mary Grace also guessed it correctly, but came in second. And Gregory Simonson wrote in and said, nobody guessed that the secret word was Puck last week?
Yeah, I think David felt kind of bad that
he kind of had a more challenging one?
Yeah.
Well, obviously Greg knew what it was, but he didn't email in, so...
That's what I'm saying. You gotta do it, you know?
I know, right? Even if you're wrong, like, who cares? Just take a gander.
That's right.
But anyway, Amanda is our winner. And so she...
I mean, it's like, all you gotta do is, like, TolkienRoadPodcast@gmail.com, which should be like, you know, you should already have it entered into your phone, so it's like,
right,
you know,
it should be like actually one of your favorites.
Yeah, and you just like, so you press that, and then you just like, you don't even have to type. You could just press the little microphone button and say, blah, and then send it, and then you're done.
Assuming that blah is what the secret word is for that week.
Right. If that's a variable, fill in the blank.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't even have to say the secret word is. Like, you could just send, like, Amanda could have just sent an email that said Puck. Mm-hmm. I've been like, oh, she got it.
Yep.
So it's not hard. Just play the game.
Just do it.
And we all win. One way or another.
That's right.
Yeah. So, David, don't feel bad.
Everyone
totally
can
don't feel bad.
No, I think it's awesome, you know.
I love it.
The secret word challenge people.
And it fit in perfectly with, you know, the Stanley Cup finals going on right now. So.
Yes, it did.
Anyways.
Indeed, it did. All right. So, book 4.
So anyway, Amanda is the chooser of today's secret word. So there is one for today. So listen up.
Yes, indeed. Let's see. So, book 4, chapter 10. We're at the end of the Two Towers. The Choices of Master Samwise.
I love that there's a whole chapter just about Sam.
Yeah.
Took him long enough.
Well, yeah, and it's one of the best in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So we start off, and we left off last time. Of course, Sam had just, Sam and Frodo got led into Shelob's lair, and they ran from Shelob, and just as Sam... They think they've escaped. Frodo is a little bit ahead of Sam, and Sam sees Shelob about to pounce on Frodo, and he runs to help him, and he gets attacked by Gollum, and he has to wrestle with Gollum and finally get Gollum. He defeats Gollum, doesn't kill him, but Gollum runs off, and it leaves with this cliffhanger of Sam being like he was too late, right? Yeah. And so we pick up right there with. That little cliffhanger of being too late, and what has happened? About the worst thing you could possibly imagine. Frodo was lying face upward on the ground, and the monster was bending over him, so intent upon her victim that she took no heed of Sam and his cries until he was close at hand. As he rushed up, he saw that Frodo was already bound in cords, wound about him from ankle to shoulder, and the monster, with her great forelegs, was beginning half to lift, half to drag his body away. So Sam's charging. He starts yelling at Shelob, just doing whatever he can to distract her. And it says, no onslaught more fierce was ever seen in the savage world of beasts, where some desperate small creature armed with little teeth alone will spring upon a terror of horn and hide that stands above its fallen mate.
Tower. Not terror.
Upon a tower of horn and hide, yeah. Disturbed as if out of some gloating dream by his small yell, she turned slowly the dreadful malice of her glance upon him. But almost before she was aware that a fury was upon her greater than any she had known in countless years, the shining sword bit upon her foot and shore away the claw. Sam sprang inside the arches of her legs, and with a quick upthrust of his other hand, stabbed at the clustered eyes upon her lowered head. One great eye went dark. So Sam, just kind of in a berserk sort of rage, is seeing what's happened to Frodo, rushes in, basically chops off one of her feet, right? Yep. One of her clawed, one of the clawed ends of one of her legs, and rushes underneath her, right? Like literally into the mouth of the beast.
Yeah, like into the mouth of a volcano.
Right. It's like diving in.
Like he's going where nobody else would ever want to go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's just he's spewing lava of rage and fury. Mm-hmm.
And he runs in with the sword with Sting, and he basically thrusts it. She looks down at him. Just this all happens really quickly, but he chops off the leg or the foot of the leg. Runs underneath her head. She looks down, and he's right up into her eye, right? Like the sword, right?
Yes.
And she's like, what happened? she's like, what in the world? Now the miserable creature was right under her, for the moment out of the reach of her sting and of her claws. Her vast belly was above him with its putrid light, and the stench of it almost smote him down. Still his fury held for one more blow, and before she could sink upon him, smothering him and all his little impudence of courage, he slashed the bright elven blade across her with desperate strength. So, this is all happening in the snap of your fingers, right? And she doesn't even have a moment to react and realize this all hurts. It
hurts real bad.
Yeah. But eventually, she has a pretty strong hide underneath her, so his blows underneath after he stabs her eye are not as effective until until it says she tries to basically fall on him to try and kind of smother him and crush him.
Right.
It says, now splaying her legs, she drove her huge bulk down on him again, too soon, for Sam still stood upon his feet, and dropping his own sword with both hands, he held the elven blade point upwards, fending off that ghastly roof. And so Shelob, with the driving force of her own cruel will, with strength greater than any warrior's hand, thrust herself upon a bitter spike. Deep, deep it pricked, as Sam was crushed slowly to the ground. No such anguish had Shelob ever known or dreamed of knowing in all her long world of wickedness. Nor the doughtiest soldier of old Gondor, nor the most savage orc entrapped, had ever thus endured her, or set blade to her beloved flesh. A shudder went through her. Heaving up again, wrenching away from the pain, she bent her writhing limbs beneath her and sprang backwards in a convulsive leap. So he gets her good, right in the belly.
Yeah.
And she's just she's in, unimaginable pain apparently. And just kind of quivering all over. And to Sam's credit, apparently no one's ever done anything like this to Shelob before. She's dealt with great elvish warriors, with great Númenorian warriors, with great orcish warriors.
Yeah.
And no one's ever pulled something like this on her before. But still, she's not down. She's not down for the count, right?
Which is amazing.
Right.
Just shows how nasty and strong she is.
Exactly. So she's ready to get him, to show him who's boss. And she says this time she was ready for another spring, this time to crush and sting to death. No little bite of poison to still the struggling of her meat. This time to slay and then to rend. So she's going
For the kill.
For the kill.
Right.
Right.
So normally, what would happen is that she would just sting it. I guess we learn this later in the chapter, but I guess in general she would sting the meat just to paralyze it, or the prey, just paralyze it. Doesn't kill it, right? Which is even grosser because she wants.
Well, that's how spiders are, right? They
meat.
like to.
No, that's so gross.
They drink the blood of their prey, right?
Yes, that's true.
And it's really disgusting. But
so she's passed on him as far as a meal at this point. She just wants him dead.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, he's you understand why he's a danger. He's given her a pretty bad time.
Yeah, he's channeling his inner Braveheart for sure.
And it says, and this is, I think this is that one of those times when I was referring to, like, this is something that only Tolkien could have written. What follows here. So, Sam, running in, Sam is tiny compared to her. Like, running in, his best chance is probably to do what he just did, which is to just go berserk while she's distracted with her prey and, get a couple of good blows in before she collects herself and really goes after him because, he's not that fast. He's not really a great warrior. And she has all kinds of experience killing things much stronger than him.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So things are not looking good for Sam.
No.
And it says, he sees his death in her eyes. A thought came to him as if some remote voice had spoken, and he fumbled in his breast with his left hand and found what he sought. Cold and hard and solid it seemed to his touch in a phantom world of horror, the feel of Galadriel. He says Galadriel, and then he heard voices far off but clear, the crying of the elves as they walked under the stars in the beloved shadow of the Shire, and the music of the elves as it came through his sleep in the hall of fire in the house of Elrond. Gilthoniel, Elbereth. And then his tongue was loosed, and his voice cried in a language which he did not know. Elbereth Gilthoniel, Omenel Palandiriel, Lenalan si Ngurothos, Atiro nin Funwilos. And with that he staggered to his feet, and was Samwise the Hobbit, Hamfast's son again. And what happens at that point is he has this kind of surge of courage within him, and with that, it's like the same time, the feel kindles to this unimaginable starlight. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And it basically blinds Shelob. It's just like...
it gives her an instant migraine.
Yeah. And, but again, it's not just, we talked last time out, this is not just a, this is the light of one of the Silmarils, right? This is one of the light, this is the light of the two trees. And so it's not just a light, it's not just a physical light, it's a spiritual light, right? And so she, the beams of it entered into her wounded head and scored it with unbearable pain, and the dreadful infection of light spread from eye to eye. She fell back, beating the air with her forelegs, her sight blasted by inner lightnings, her mind in agony. Then turning her maimed head away, she rolled aside and began to crawl, claw by claw, toward the opening of the dark cliff behind. That's pretty much it for Shelob. So, this little scene where first of all Sam, kind of by his own power attacks Shelob and gets some good blows in, but she's not done, and then things aren't looking good for Sam because she's about to spring on him. And then he remembers the feel, and he says Galadriel's name, and something kind of is whispered to him, and he has this memory of hearing Elbereth Gilthoniel amongst the elves previously. But then the rest of these words come to him, like out of nowhere. Did you happen to look these words up to find out what they mean?
No, I knew you would look them up for me.
So it's, this is one of those, this is just one of those incredible moments. Like, so I'm on, I think this is, let me make sure what site this is. It's folk.uib.no, and, let's see. Ardalambion, that's what it is. Ardalambion. This is the site, remember we talked with Gabriel Blanchard about the language site?
Right, yes.
And there's a page on here all devoted to an analysis of this little poem. because there's two versions of it, right? There's the first one early in the Fellowship of the Ring when the elves are walking in the woods and they come upon them and they hear them singing their song.
Right.
I'm sorry. It's the Hymn of Rivendell in Fellowship of the Ring. So he hears that, so he's familiar with the whole notion of, Elbereth Gilthoniel, but the rest of the words are not found in that. And so what it means, and there's a couple of different translations of it on this site, but Elbereth, of course, is Varda, right? The Queen of the Stars, spouse of Manwë, one of the Valar, right? And one of the greatest of the Valar.
Right.
And known to the elves as the Queen of the Stars. And it says, the translation of this complete little passage here is, O Elbereth, star-kindler, from firmament gazing afar, to thee I cry, here beneath death horror. O look towards me, ever white. So that's kind of a literal translation. Tolkien translated it a little bit differently. He says of Sam's invocation, O Queen who kindled star on star, white-robed from heaven gazing far, here overwhelmed in dread of death I cry, O guard me, Elbereth. And then he translates it else in another letter. He says, O Elbereth, star-kindler, from heaven gazing afar, to thee I cry now in the shadow of death. O look towards me, ever white. This is one of the. I mean, this just reminds me so much of Regina Caeli, right? The Hail Holy Queen.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. We'll go with it. So tell me why you thought of that.
Well, I was just gonna say that. As you were reading even the different translations, just the language and kind of the, because in the Hail Holy Queen, we say pray for us, Holy Mother of God, and says, Hail Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy, our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve.
Yeah.
To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this valley of tears.
Right.
Turn then, O most gracious advocate, thine eyes of mercy towards us. So, I mean, it's just a very similar sentiment here, I think, because he's basically saying, I'm about to die.
Yeah.
Right? I'm in a really tough spot here. I need you to help me.
Yeah,
and that's basically what the Hail Holy Queen is.
Yeah, and so, Greta recited part of it, but since, just for those of you who aren't familiar with the prayer, the Regina Caeli is a prayer, like a Marian prayer in the Catholic tradition that Tolkien certainly would have been familiar with, and deeply familiar with. It's basically the at the end of praying the Rosary, it's the like kind of final Marian prayer that you pray, and it basically goes so it goes like this: Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy, our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this valley of tears. Turn then, O most gracious advocate, thine eyes of mercy towards us, and after this our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus. O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary, pray for us, O Holy Mother of God, that we may be made worthy of the promises of Christ. So you can definitely hear the parallels in that prayer with this one, right?
This one's much shorter, obviously.
Yeah. But it's this. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping beneath this valley of tears. Mourning and weeping in this valley of tears, right? So in the valley of the shadow of death is, of course, a famous translation of Psalm 23. Just a lot of that same resonance and these words that Sam almost just seems inspired
because it doesn't even say that his tongue he doesn't know this language.
Yeah,
this isn't something he would have learned in the Shire.
And I almost think it's like Galadriel, because he says Galadriel's name and he seems to have this memory and he remembers this. So I don't know if it's necessarily Galadriel who like inspires this in him, but it's cool that even if it is Galadriel, she's saying she basically tells him to invoke
Varda.
Elbereth, right? To invoke Varda.
Right.
And so Gilthoniel is Star-Kindler, so there's all those are different items. Queen of the Stars, Varda, Lady of the Stars, Queen of the Stars. star kindler. She's of course the one that set the stars in the sky as a guide to the elves, to the elves as they awoke early in the history of Middle Earth. And of course, when he invokes her, what happens? Well, the field comes alive with the light of the star of the Silmaril, right?
Yes.
And it just overwhelms Shelob and sends her back into her place.
Final blow.
Yeah, it's the final. It really is the final blow.
It's probably even brighter than a volcano erupting.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Wouldn't want to be around when that happened. Don't want to be around when the field of Galadriel takes on the full light of Elbereth of the
I
Silmaril.
wouldn't either. No, unless I'm the one wielding it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam didn't seem to mind it too much, and again, that's what makes me think it's it's really about the spiritual light of it, right? It's like I'm sure it's bright. I'm sure there was a physical light to it, but it doesn't seem to hurt Sam, right? In the way it hurt Shelob. I think that's because Sam is pure of heart.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Which is why he's able to withstand the light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just wonderful, wonderful little passage. One of my favorites in the entire book.
Yes.
Can't say enough good things about it. Moving on further into the chapter. So Shelob's run off. It says, what became of her, no one will ever really know. Did she go off and just kind of slowly die because of her wounds? Did she eventually heal and keep on giving, keep on going after prey up there in the mountains of shadow well into the ages to come? No one will ever really know.
Right, and she doesn't appear again.
No.
In the Lord of the Rings.
No, she does not.
So good riddance.
Good riddance. Mm-hmm. Good riddance. So Frodo, it appears to Sam, is gone. He tries to wake him up. He tries to wake Frodo up, but no use. He looks kind of pale, and Sam fears the worst. Mm-hmm. And so Sam has to make a decision, hence the title of the chapter, The Choices of Master Samwise. I have something to do before the end. I must see it through, sir, if you understand. But what can I do? Not leave Mr. Frodo dead, unburied on the top of the mountains, and go home. Or go on? Go on? Go on? Is that what I've got to do? And leave him? So Sam doesn't know. Sam doesn't know what he's supposed to do. But he kind of goes through all the different options. You just see him here debating back and forth with himself, saying... And he kind of finally comes to the realization that somebody has to continue the mission. Somebody has to take the ring with him.
Right.
At first he doesn't want to do it, and he thinks, the ring wasn't given to me; it was given to Frodo.
Right.
But then he realizes, they gave him companions, so why did they give him companions?
Yeah, that was an interesting kind of dialogue. Mm-hmm. It's obviously, I think... Well, I don't know. I think it's meant to be an internal dialogue.
Right.
Right? But when I was reading it, I almost felt like there was someone or something kind of speaking through him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Again, almost kind of like the same thing that happened with when he invoked Galadriel. I feel like there was some kind of spirit of wisdom. I don't know if it's Gandalf or Elrond, but I just felt like... Cause, and he says, what, me? Take the ring from him? The council gave it to him. But then it says, but the answer came at once, and the council gave him companions. So I don't know, just the way that was written, I feel like it may have been implying that there was some kind of otherworldly kind of...
Well, I think that's a great point, and I think it's clear in the last couple of chapters that there's some kind of greater presence that's watching over Frodo and Sam, guiding them through these difficult places, into a, in the steps they need to walk in, right?
Yeah.
Something has their back, and helping them to make the decisions, however difficult they may be, right? You just think back several chapters into Frodo talking about how he's just increasingly feels no hope, but yet he knows he has this mission to complete.
Right.
And And you're right. It is written in such a way that it seems that there's somebody, like it's almost like somebody prompts him with the answer.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So Sam finally realizes. He says, "Let me see now. If we're found here, or Mr. Frodo's found, and that thing's on him, well, the enemy will get it, and that's the end of all of us, of Lorien and Rivendell and the Shire and all. And there's no time to lose, or it'll be the end anyway. The war has begun, and more than likely things are all going the enemy's way already. No chance to go back with it and get advice or permission. No, it's sit here till they come and kill me over Master's body and gets it, or take it and go." He drew a deep breath. "Then take it is." So he takes the ring. It's very heavy as he picks it up, and he bends his own neck and puts the chain upon it, and at once it says his head was bowed to the ground with the weight of the ring, as if a great stone had been strung on him. But slowly, as if the weight became less, or new strength grew in him, he raised his head, and then with a great effort got to his feet, and found that he could walk and bear his burden. And for a moment he lifted up the field and looked down at his master, and the light burned gently now with the soft radiance of the evening star in summer. And in that light Frodo's face was fair of hue again, pale but beautiful with an elvish beauty, as of one who has long passed the shadows. And with the bitter comfort of that last light, Sam turned and hid the light and stumbled on into the growing dark. I was thinking as he took the ring, I was thinking back to a lot of our conversations about how someone comes upon the ring, how someone comes to have the ring in their possession, and how that can affect their ability to resist it, and to kind of resist its lure.
Yes.
And with Gollum, he killed somebody in order to get his hands on it, so he had no power to resist it,
right?
To resist what it was going to do to him. Bilbo had more power because he got it kind of fair and square in the in their little game. But he didn't. Bilbo didn't necessarily do anything virtuous in order to come upon it, in order to get it.
Yes.
Frodo was willing to take it out of kind of necessity, but he had time to kind of deliberate upon it and think about it more deeply about whether he would do it.
Right.
And here you have Sam, who has to make a split-second decision, and has never wanted it at any point. Right?
It's never.
We have never
him.
indication that it's tempted him at all.
Right.
And all of a sudden, and Frodo was given it by Bilbo. Bilbo had to give it to him.
It was rather reluctant on Bilbo's part.
Right. But here, Sam takes it because, and he still doesn't want it, but he takes it because he has to. Because it's because of love for others, because of love for all of Middle-earth. Right?
Because he knows it'll fall into the wrong hands.
Right.
If he doesn't.
So it's just interesting to think about that, and we'll have to keep that in mind as we go forward and in the rest of the chapters. As Sam has it in his possession now, and eventually he does put it on, and to see what effect it has on him,
right? Because
of that,
right?
As he's making this decision, he suddenly realizes he kind of hears orc voices starting to approach, and at that moment he realizes he's in trouble, that he's about to get caught, and that would be really horrible because he has the ring on him now, and he might have been able to resist Shelob all that time, but he's not going to be able to resist the orcs.
Not a whole group of orcs.
Yeah.
No.
So he decides that he has to put it on. So he puts on the ring so he can be invisible from them. And the world changes. You want to read that little bit about the world changed?
The world changed, and a single moment of time was filled with an hour of thought. At once he was aware that hearing was sharpened while sight was dimmed, but otherwise than in Shelob's lyre. All things about him now were not dark, but vague. While he himself was there in a gray hazy world, alone, like a small black solid rock, and the ring, weighing down his left hand, was like an orb of hot gold. He did not feel invisible at all, but horribly and uniquely visible, and he knew that somewhere an eye was searching for him.
Yeah, so it's, I think it's interesting to hear the description of the world, how nothing gets dark, but it's vague, right? Everything's kind of gray and hazy.
Yeah.
But he can hear better, he can hear the different conversations, and he realizes that he can, even though the orcs are speaking kind of their weird orc language,
he can understand.
You can understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
So we get to basically listen in on this long conversation between two orcs.
Yes.
Who are Gorbag and Shagrat. So,
awesome.
Yeah, I was thinking, how do you think orcs get their names? Because I don't think orcs have mamas. Yeah,
that's a good question.
So I kind of thought to myself, maybe it's like nicknames that like soldiers
like as they
give one another that are kind of like, mockery, like, mocking each other, kind of making fun of each other, like, so you look like this, so we'll give you this nasty nasty nickname. I know a lot of times, like when I was in the Navy, like pilots had call signs, and I think the jet pilots actually gave each other like cool call signs, like so like Top Gun, like Maverick and Iceman and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But the helo pilots, if I remember, this is just from a little bit of exposure I had because I was a submariner, not an aviator, but a little bit of exposure I had. The helo pilots give each other like silly nicknames, like make up like goofy nicknames for each other. That are like kind of mockeries of them. And so I almost wonder if like Shagrat and Gorbag are like, like dumb face and idiot head or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that'd be like the kid versions, but probably have like
could
really
be
nasty sounding.
It could be, or like maybe Shagrat just has some really mousy features about him, and he's like has a lot of hair.
Yeah.
So he's like a shaggy rat.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe Gorbag is like fat. Like a bag filled with gory junk.
Yeah, who just like eats anything.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's like a human or an orc garbage disposal.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I hadn't even thought about that, but you're right. They don't have moms, so that probably makes the most sense. Yeah. I can't imagine that Sauron
names all of them. Yeah, I would have to imagine.
He doesn't have time for that.
Yeah,
there's just too many. Like they come out so quickly.
Yeah, the orc factory, produces them, and then they go off and they get their call signs from their fellow orc.
That makes the most sense, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got like what are some of the other ones? There's another one that, what is the F one?
I don't remember another one being named.
Yeah, they talk about it's L. Lugbors.
Oh right. Wasn't that the name of the guy in Despicable Me?
Is it?
Maybe not.
I've only seen that movie like once.
You just talked like you did. Maybe. That's kind of how he talked, actually.
Yeah, well, you think about Shagrat, Gorbag, Lugbors. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it reminds me of, like in the Screw Tape Letters, C.S. Lewis comes up with all the names for the demons.
Yes.
And they're all like Wormwood and Screw Tape, and like really just, if you want to come up with a good name for an orc or a demon, you just like put together like just combine two unpleasant things.
Yes.
Right? It's like compound words.
Or even just sounds.
Yeah.
Right? Like, those aren't even words, but
they're
two very unpleasant sounds.
Right. And if we go back earlier in the Two Towers, there's, of course...
like when they capture Merry and Pippin.
Yeah, what are some of the names of the... Ugluk, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ugluk.
Grishnak.
They're almost like onomatopoeia.
Yeah, onomatopoeias.
Onomatopoeias. That's kind of like what some of those are.
Yeah.
Like you could see, I feel like I could see some of those in like bubbles, in speech bubbles in comics.
Lugdush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are, anyway, it'd be fun to come up with like just orc names.
Yeah.
At some point.
Just in our spare time.
Yeah,
After a couple drinks. That
That's
might be
right.
kind of fun.
All right, so Shagrat and Gorbag have this long conversation. I didn't write down which one was from where, but basically one of them is a soldier of Cirithungel, one of them is a soldier of, or I think Lugbors is a soldier of the Minas Morgul, right?
Yeah.
So basically, I don't think Lugbors is around. I think he's a soldier of Minas Morgul.
Yeah, they're talking
who's basically
about
giving them orders.
Yeah.
To if they find an elvish, any kind of warrior, they're to strip him and hold on to all of his possessions.
Right.
And not kill him either.
Right.
Because he will want him for questioning. So they have a pretty interesting little conversation here. we kind of learned a little bit about the way that orcs that orcs live their lives, I guess you could say. But they carry Frodo. They get Frodo and they carry him back to Cirith Ungol, and Sam is able to overhear a lot of their conversation. We kind of learn about how Shelob is this ever-present reality for them, and they just try to steer clear of her as best they can.
Right.
But every once in a while, it's pretty horrible. Every once in a while, she'll get one of their orc brethren, and they talk about how they
found one like hanging.
Yeah, one of them went missing, and he was just like hanging upside down, but alive, and he like cursed him, and then they just left him there.
Yeah, just laughed at him and left.
Of course, orcs left him there. Yeah. But guys, don't leave me! Don't leave me! That's horrible, man.
That is really horrible.
I mean, even for orcs, good grief. I guess that's why they're orcs.
Gotta look out for number one.
Well, but it's not just that; it's that they're just like
they don't care.
They just don't care. It's like funny to them.
Yeah.
You got caught, dummy. You get to stay there.
Well, maybe they didn't want to risk Shelob getting them. I think that's why they left him.
I guess they say that. They say that. Where is it? They basically say like, well, we don't want to kind of get between her and her prey.
Right. Right.
Necessarily. So.
But you're right. The orcs are like opposite of heroic.
But yeah, think about that. Like, there could be a human warrior, an elvish warrior might say the same thing. They don't want to like get between her. But they would go and they would try to rescue her.
Right. Exactly.
They would put their own.
Just like Sam did.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
They would put themselves at risk in order to save their fellow man or their fellow elf.
Right. But not orcs. I wish all the orcs would just like fall into a volcano and die.
Yeah. Seriously.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Well, Mount Doom,
That's true. Is that a volcano? Mount Doom?
I would say it is.
Is it an active volcano?
I would say it is. But we'll get there. Maybe we can talk about it more when we get there.
Okay.
I like the orders. Shagrat repeats the orders from that he has from Lugbors. It says, any trespasser found by the guard is to be held at the tower. Prisoner is to be stripped. Full description of every article, garment, weapon, letter, ring, or trinket is to be sent to Lugbors at once, and to Lugbors only. I like how they threw ring in there, right? Ring, trinket, ring, letters, rings. Did I mention rings? If he's got any rings, make sure you hang on to those, and don't put them on yourself.
Yeah. Not very,
Yeah, it didn't even say like jewelry, it just said ring.
Right, yeah. It's a little obvious.
Yeah, well, they're orcs, they're not very smart.
Stupid.
Yeah. I also thought it humorous how they refer to Shelob as her ladyship.
Yes.
It's like...
You see Shelob like walking around with like a little crown of jewels on her head.
All like haughty looking, like...
Yes.
Like, kiss my claw,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
With like little, like white gloves on her claws.
I wonder why they call her that. It's so funny.
It's it's you get this sense like Gollum worshipped her, right? You get the sense like she really is.
Yeah, that is
she's
true.
like she's a spirit. Like she's an embodied spirit, right?
Right. Yeah.
She's not just this giant animal. But she's this spiritual malice that has taken on this form of a giant spider.
Yeah.
So she does. She wants people to kind of like worship her and treat her like royalty.
And kiss her claws.
Even though she's like just foul and disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean that's a good question.
But that's a good answer.
Thank you.
Look, I mean, it's interesting too because they're like, well, they basically, they say that they don't want to interfere when she's playing.
Right.
Right. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, that's so they get to Uftaz. Do you remember old Uftak? Ufthak? We lost him for days. Then we found him in a corner, hanging up he was, but he was wide awake and glaring. How we laughed. She'd forgotten him maybe, but we didn't touch him. No good interfering with her. Nar. This little filth, he'll wake up in a few hours, and beyond feeling a bit sick for a bit, he'll be all right. Or would be if Lugbors would let him alone. And of course, beyond wondering where he is and what's happened to him. But of course, at this point, when Sam realizes that Frodo is still alive,
right,
and he, he basically wants to like punch himself.
He's a little hard on himself.
Yeah. Do you want to read that? Sam reeled, clutching at the stone.
Sam reeled, clutching at the stone. He felt as if the whole dark world was turning upside down. So great was the shock that he almost swooned, but even as he fought to keep a hold on his senses, deep inside him he was aware of the comment. You fool! He isn't dead, and your heart knew it! Don't trust your head, Samwise. It is not the best part of you. The trouble with you is that you never really had any hope. Now what is to be done? For the moment, nothing, but to prop himself against the unmoving stone and listen. Listen to the vile orc voices.
Yeah, so
does he still have the ring on at this point?
Yeah, he does, and I think that's part of the reason he can.
Oh, that's why he can understand what they're saying. Yeah, okay.
So Shagrat at this point decides that he's going to put Frodo up in the top of the Tower of Cirith right? Because he's worried that some of the other orcs are going to try and take him and have fun with him, right?
Right.
And
because he doesn't trust him,
eat him or do something worse to him. And then probably eat him. Sam realizes that he was ready to go on before. He's got to do something. He's got to get Frodo because Frodo's still alive.
Right.
So he's got to figure out a way to get Frodo. I mean, just again, like, Sam, what incredible courage that Sam has, because here he is, like, he's got to now. Not only did he just defeat Shelob, who no warrior has ever defeated before, but he now has to basically storm this tower, right? This stronghold, to get Frodo out of the very top of it.
You just really, isn't just this the title of this chapter, Choices of Samwise. It's like, he's forced to make a lot of them, but none of them are clear and none of them are easy.
Right.
And your heart goes out to him because he's just doing the best he can, But even at the end of this chapter, you feel like even that's not enough. Mm-hmm. But yet he keeps going, which is just amazing.
Right. He's the stout-hearted. Sam is the stout-hearted. I love how he says, good old Sam. Whenever he does anything a little wrong, good grief. How would he have thought Frodo was still alive? Right. But he chides himself. He's like, don't trust your head, Samwise. It's not the best part of you. That's something the gaffer said to him.
Right.
He's just repeating it, right?
Yeah.
Don't trust your head, Samwise. It's not the best part of you. The trouble with you is that you never really had any hope. Now what is to be done? So he's like chiding himself, even though he's just been incredibly heroic, and he probably saved the ring from falling into the wrong hands by attacking Shelob, and he did his best to try and save Frodo. But he's still like, oh, Sam, you're such an idiot,
Stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's the stout-hearted. Samwise the stout-hearted. So he finds himself outside of Cirith, outside of the doors. The great doors slammed to. Boom. The bars of iron fell into place inside. Clang. The gate was shut. Sam hurled himself against the bolted brazen plates and fell senseless to the ground. He was out in the darkness. Frodo is alive, but taken by the enemy. All right, so it's interesting to note that in this chapter, when Lord of the Rings was originally released, Fellowship and Two Towers were released together. Mm-hmm. But Return of the King, I think, didn't come out for another 6 months or another year or something like that, right?
Right.
So think about that, right?
It's a long wait for a
cliffhanger, right?
Yep.
Wow, what a cliffhanger that would have been to wait to find out what actually happens. There's Sam pounding on the door. Of course, we can just pick up the Return of the King and keep reading immediately, but even still, you have to make it. We have to make it all the way through book 5 before we get to book 6, and book 5 is all about all the other guys.
Right. Yeah.
We don't get back to Frodo and Sam until book 6, so many episodes until we come back to good old Frodo and good old Sam. Yeah. So, any other thoughts?
I think we covered it all.
Good job. Way to finish 2 towers.
Way to do it. Even especially on our 11th. It's pretty awesome.
That's right. Okay, so it is now haiku time. Yeah. Whoa. Okay, there we go.
That's funny. Who's going first?
You go.
Okay, I'll go first. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 syllables in haiku.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 syllables in haiku.
Whoa, to your mother.
All right.
How many do you have?
I got 1.
I got 2.
Oh, well. Well, you better go first.
I'll go first. You know, I just want to preface both of these by saying I tried really hard to write a serious haiku for this chapter. So I wrote the first one, and I was like, okay, I got the goofy out of my system now. And so I was like, now I'm going to write a serious one. And so I started it with all intentions for it to be serious, but it ended up not being serious. I feel like this is a little sacrilegious for goofy haikus for this chapter. But I don't know. I just wasn't feeling serious.
Okay, well, you can read it if you want to. It's up to you.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think you need to decide.
Alright, fine. I'll read it. Look! A plane! A train! A brave elvish warrior! Oops. Nope. It's just Sam.
Why gotta be like that? It's messed up, yo.
I thought
You're
it was
fired.
Awesome. I thought it was awesome how he's so lets his head get so big about the fact that these orcs think that it was an elvish warrior that defeated Shelob. And then he actually refers himself to at the end. We didn't read that part of the chapter, did we? At the very end, he's listening, and then he finally decides he's going after him. And the orcs try to leave, and then Sam's like, what does he say? He says, here we go. Because the orc says, he's going where I want him, and where you won't come if you don't keep civil. Up to the top, I say, he'll be safe there. Will he? Said Sam. You're forgetting the great, big, elvish warrior that's loose.
I see, yep.
And with that, he raced around the last corner, only to find that by some trick of the tunnel or of the hearing which the ring gave him, he had misjudged the distance.
Right, and that's a good point. The orcs are expecting that some elvish warriors are going to be coming up. And it turns out, and to be fair to them, the hobbits look like small elvish warriors, right?
True. I mean, they even said that Frodo looked elvish.
Yeah, because he's got this kind of
those ears,
those pointed ears, and
right.
So they've got kind of they certainly look more like elves than they look like orcs.
Yeah.
Fellow orcs. So
right.
And they're wearing kind of elvish clothing, garments.
Right.
Right.
Right. Because they have their cloaks.
So that's a good point. So
okay,
I get it.
Thanks.
Understand.
You can read yours now.
Okay. Hail, O Star Queen! The least of your children calls from beneath death horror. Nice. I like it. Yeah, I like the when you're reading something in a different language, especially an ancient language, and there's not and you get a literal translation of it. I think that can be really interesting sometimes because you're talking about cultures that didn't have they hadn't been through the same process we have of their language advancing and building, kind of synthesizing different concepts into new concepts. So sometimes you'll wind up with the thing that's we don't really have a good translation of this, but it's something like death horror.
Right.
If you literally translate the words, it's death horror, because there's no equivalent word in our language.
Right. It's you have to take two to describe this one.
Yeah. Actually, Psalm 23 is really interesting. If you ever read a literal translation of Psalm 23, which is probably the most famous of the Psalms. The normal famous ending in English is and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever, and but the actual if you translate it literally, or one literal translation of it is and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for length of days, right? And, it's again, like they didn't necessarily have this, how do you say forever, right? Like we say forever in English, right?
They didn't have that.
I think they had the concept. I think they had the concept, but they expressed it in these kind of very a little bit more discreet ways. There wasn't a synthesized. They had two words that kind of went together to signify that.
Yes.
Language is fascinating. I'm not really a linguist, but I'm not a linguist like Tolkien was by any means. But the development of language and the way things are translated and all that kind of stuff is fascinating.
Indeed.
Anyway, you want to read your other one?
Yeah, I'll read my second one. Loyalty to friend or quest. Is there a right choice? There is, and isn't.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thanks.
I like it.
Yeah, well, good.
A little dilemma.
That's what I was trying to get across.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have...
Go not to the elves for counsel, for they will say both no and yes.
Exactly right. Mm-hmm. Yes. You are right and wrong.
Yes, they were right and wrong.
All right, so we have lots of haiku this week. This is very exciting.
Wow, awesome.
So we have one from Gregory Simonson. He says, "Greetings, guys on the Tolkien Road. Hope you are well. Here is my first haiku." I'll let you read this one, and then I'll read his second one.
Okay. Light of the two trees, wielded by stout-hearted best Ungoliant spawn. Nice, I love it. I love the way he harkens back to the Ungoliant and her destruction of the 2 trees, but the 2 trees light is the thing that kills Ungoliant spawn. Awesome. That's a great one.
Really, really good.
That one deserves to go on the Twitter feed.
I'll forward it on to Josh.
Yeah.
Little note that he wrote with his haiku. It says, "Here is another instance where knowing the backstory deepens the story.
Mm-hmm.
Only recently did I realize that Sam battling Shelob is, in a sense, a rematch of the 2 trees versus Ungoliant.
Mm-hmm.
The feel of Galadriel traces its light through Arendelle and the Silmaril to the trees, of course. Shelob is Ungoliant's descendant. And also awesome is that the only person that has ever wounded Shelob is a hobbit." So, yeah, good stuff.
It is, yeah.
Good
I
stuff.
love that one.
Yeah, that's really good. And he says, now the second, here's his second from Gregory.
Mm-hmm.
"As his master did, Sam takes up ring, sting, and feel. Prepares to leave, but... ... After defeating Shelob, Sam is faced with the same choice that Frodo was on Rauros, though for different reasons. And after deciding to go alone, both are granted a companion. Sam, however, has to go get his out of trouble."
Nice.
Really good.
Good stuff.
Really good stuff, Gregory.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So we had a couple of new haiku contributors this week.
Awesome.
Which is super exciting. This one is from Monique Leonard. Hey Monique.
Hey Monique.
Thanks for writing in. She says, I've really been enjoying your podcast the past month or so. In addition to the current episodes, I've finally been rereading the Silmarillion and catching up on the last of your back episodes that are new to me. She says, I'd like to submit my first haiku to the podcast for the Choices of Master Samwise.
Awesome.
Do you want to read this one?
Sure.
Okay, it starts there with choices.
"Choices in the dark and the light. Where should I go? Master Samwise runs."
That's
Awesome.
really good. I like, again, like, she uses the light and the dark, right? The juxtaposition. It really is just a conundrum and a huge dilemma.
Yeah. Wonderful.
That's good stuff. Thank you, Monique.
Excellent first haiku.
Yes. You set the bar high. I can't speak.
Bar high. You set the bar high.
Yeah, you set the bar high. Bar high.
Yeah.
Keep it up. Thanks for the note, and keep in touch, please.
Yes.
We have our first one also from Caitlin Fascista.
All right, long-time listener.
Yes.
First-time haikuer.
Yes, awesome. I love it.
Nice.
She says, I guess she's been catching up on episodes. This is the first time she's caught up now, and so she wanted to submit a haiku.
Special note about Caitlin, interesting fact I learned about her is that I guess she sometimes listens to the podcast when her kids are around.
Uh-huh.
And one of them knows the haiku song and sings along with it.
Which
is
awesome.
the greatest thing ever.
That is so wonderful.
Yeah, we're world famous now amongst kids too.
That is so great.
Awesome.
It must make you as the songwriter feel pretty great.
Of course, she'll need to pay Greg UK royalties every time.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Greg UK.
Unfortunately,
that's right.
So sorry about
we
that.
We haven't heard from Greg UK in a while.
We haven't. I've been wondering what happened to Greg UK. I'm just kidding about that too, Caitlin. Of course,
I'm sure
I'm
she
sure
knows
that was
you're
abundantly
kidding.
clear, but anyway.
Yeah, but Greg UK, hit us up.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Your
but
song's
it's awesome
a hit.
that Caitlin's.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, she tweeted about that,
yeah.
right? I think she's like 4.
I'm not sure how old. I'm not sure how old, but
I think that's what she said. That her 4-year-old is singing along with a haiku song.
Yeah.
So that makes it even more awesome.
Yes, indeed.
If you want your kid to learn how to count, just play our haiku song. At least up to 17.
That's right.
All right. Well, cool, Caitlin. Here's your haiku. I will take the ring, though unfit for such burden. Hope fails. I must not.
Nice.
It's really good.
Yeah, it is really good.
People are just doing awesome. They're killing it this week with the haiku.
Yes, indeed.
Good stuff. Thank you, Caitlin. We also have a note from Mary Grace. She says, Dear Carswells, congratulations. And I saw that and I was like, why is she congratulating us?
Because Mary Grace, she just likes to congratulate.
Well, she does like to congratulate that. Yeah. And plus, she says, in celebration of the 111th episode of the Tolkien Road, I have written a special haiku.
Awesome.
So, would you like to read Mary Grace's special haiku?
11 episodes. Too short a time for a fine podcast.
Aww. Right.
Thanks, Mary Grace.
Fuzzies. Thanks, Mary Grace. That's awesome. That's really, really great. And then she also submitted 2 for this chapter. Here's her first one for the Choices of Master Samwise. A difficult choice made by a loyal servant to the bitter end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice.
Good stuff. Good.
All right, her second one. Alive but cold as death, Frodo is stung by Shelob, taken to Mordor. Wow. Good stuff.
Oh, chills. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Very, very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we have another haiku.
Awesome.
From Amanda. Oh, and by the way, she answered my question. Remember that awesome picture? I don't know if Josh has gotten around to tweeting it yet or not.
With the dinosaur?
With the dinosaur?
Yeah, he did. He tweeted it.
Sweet. Like I said, I'm not.
You're not a tweeter?
I'm not a twit that tweets. Therefore, anyway, she told me that I asked her where that was, and she said it's in New Mexico. Like in the northern part of New Mexico, kind of near the Colorado border. So she said, and I thought this was funny, she said that she tried really hard to convince her family members to take an epic family shot, like pretending that they were slaying the dragon, but she got outvoted.
Oh, man.
Which is, I know, it's a super bummer. I think I'd like to hang out with Amanda. She sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, there you go.
So anyway, if I ever get to New Mexico, Amanda, I'll call you up and we'll take a picture.
Right on.
Slaying the rock dragon.
Awesome.
And so here's her haiku. The rage of Samwise, unstoppable foe defeats, by rage of Shelob.
Nice.
Very good. Unstoppable foe defeats. Yes, I like that. Good stuff.
The rage of Samwise, unstoppable foe defeats.
Like the volcano, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's just like a volcano, just spewing rage all over Shelob.
I don't know.
You don't know?
When the volcano's going to blow.
Yeah, I don't either.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I'm going to go either.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know where you're going to go when the volcano blows?
I don't know.
Doesn't Jimmy say that he's not going to go to Nashville? Or does he say he is going to go to Nashville? I know he mentions Nashville. No, he says he doesn't, right?
Let's see here.
I think he says, don't want to go to Nashville, Tennessee. Are you trying to do the part about Nashville?
Yeah, I was trying to. Let me see.
Hold on, I'm looking for I have the lyrics right here. It's like, it's toward the end. Yeah, he says, don't want to land in Comanche Sky Park or in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, I see.
Don't want to land in no San Juan Airport or the Yukon Territory. So it's toward the end. It's like the third to last.
Why does he want to go to Nashville?
I don't know. We don't have any volcanoes
Maybe he's
here.
saying he wants to stay at the beach because, Jimmy Buffett's all about being at the beach.
We got lakes.
That's true.
And the Tennessee River.
But lakes aren't the beach.
No, lakes are not the beach, unfortunately. Yeah. But you can boat in lakes.
Yeah, but...
which is fun.
It's not the beach.
Not the beach. Alright, why were we even talking about volcanoes? I remember. Oh, we're talking about Sam being a volcano of rage. Okay, cool. I can't get back to my... Oh, here it is. We also had a note from David Bigwood.
Yes.
Yes.
He did some of the legwork on looking up all the spider references in Tolkien's letters.
Yes,
I talked last time about I thought Tolkien had kind of a fear of spiders.
But he thinks he doesn't.
No, he's right. I think there was an episode early in Tolkien's life when he lived in South Africa where as I understood it, he was stung. And I should have gotten my copy of the biography and looked this up because I couldn't remember from his because in the letters it refers to it in a footnote, but I couldn't figure out where Tolkien was speculating that maybe he was stung by one as a kid or whether he actually was stung by one as a kid, like stung by a tarantula as a kid.
Oh yeah.
And but he says he doesn't really have any fear of spiders, and he actually will go out of his way to like save him if he finds him in the bathroom.
Right?
Like that,
yeah.
Which is funny because I'm actually the same way. I told you that last time. I don't like to kill spiders, not because I'm afraid of them, but because
they do good things.
Because I feel like they're good creatures.
Yeah.
Even though they're creepy and I don't like them and I don't want them around me.
Right.
I feel like they're good. They do they serve a good function, which is to kill other bugs that are just infinitely annoying and worthless. Seem worthless. I'm sure they have some function that I'm not aware of. But like I was thinking about the other day, like mosquitoes. Like, what in the world good are mosquitoes?
No, they're a product of the fall. They do absolutely no good.
Yeah.
None. They only spread disease and discomfort.
They're like tiny little orcs flying around.
Gosh. We should start naming the mosquitoes that we kill. Take that, Shagrat.
Gorbag.
Flying orcs. I thought.
Gorsh.
I thought that. I really appreciated David's note about spiders.
That'd be a great name for one.
What?
Garshnart.
No, which Garsh? Oh,
Garshnart.
Garshnart. I was like, I've heard that word before. Where did I hear that? Yes, Garsh.
One of the great moments in Tolkien Road history. Yes.
That's what you should have done for our 1st. If you should just done like greatest moments, and we could have just played that. Snippets.
Yeah, I should have.
Like a best of.
If I had
track.
Lots of extra time to go back and do
that. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. I really appreciated everything that David shared about Tolkien. So he's being cleared. Tolkien, not an arachnophobe. David also shares about this chapter. He said this is where Sam really becomes the hero. Mm-hmm. He's the one who reminds Frodo about the Feel. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And he deeply wounds Shelob. He then prevents the ring from falling into the enemy's hands. Later, while still in possession of it, he resists its pull. He gives it back to Frodo. Only Bilbo ever did that before. Of course, Sam only had it for a short time. The movies never did explore the heroism of Sam enough to my taste. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, he definitely becomes a hero. Let's see.
Well, I think... Okay, you're looking up how to spell it.
File.
See?
But... Okay.
I think you can do it feel, too. Let's not go down this rabbit trail, please. I think it's fine. I think it'd be file or feel.
I think Tolkien would have said it feel.
Right, because it sounds nicer.
File sounds more like a file. It's more of an ancient way of saying it. Right?
Feel, yes. Agreed.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
So anyway, yes, David, you are absolutely right. I would agree with that. I think the movies did not do Sam justice.
I would agree. Well, I mean, I think they do a good job, but
it's
hard to do Sam. I think it's hard to do Sam justice.
Right, which you can't put every little thing from the book in, obviously, but he's just a very complex character, and I think that's his hero. I think heroism can sometimes be a difficult trait to portray in movies. But anyway, thank you, David.
Thanks,
really
David.
Appreciate the.
Thanks for the insight on Tolkien's view of spiders.
Yes, thanks for being so awesome and writing to us. So we have also a haiku from superfan Josh.
Yes.
And this one is awesome. So I'm going to let you read it.
Sam, sting in hand, cried, Arania exuum. Shelob ran, indeed.
Ariam exuum.
Ah,
do you know what that is?
Arania exuum.
Irania exuum. It's from
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
There you go.
Do you know where it's used in that movie?
Probably in the part where all the giant spiders are there.
Yeah, when they're flying in the car.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is, again, very creepy part.
Yeah, totally creepy, but, you know, I like that he linked Harry Potter and Tolkien.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome.
Very cool.
Very cool. Good stuff, Josh. Thank you. Last but certainly not least, we have a couple haiku from Matt Scarrance.
Awesome. What's up, Matt?
Hey, Matt. So he addresses us, Dear Regis et Regina Elgorum. He said he saw it on the Twitter page and had to use it. What is this? Do you know?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll do it.
John, it's really not a big deal at all.
Okay. Regis et Regina Elgorum. I think it's Elgorum.
Elgorum, that's what I thought too.
I think so.
We said it was on our Twitter page.
I'm bad.
Did you put it there?
What's on the Twitter page? How to say it, or
no? Regis et Regina Elgorum. You are like obsessed with this whole file thing. I'm sorry I brought it up. Jeez, it's not a big deal at all.
With accident forgiveness,
See?
Allstate won't raise your rates just because of an accident.
It's an endless rabbit hole. Please. So anyway.
Sorry.
Okay, so we're not doing haiku.
Follow this one to our last
Is that what we're
conclusion.
doing? Okay. Yes.
File.
Whatever. Shut up, you.
Told you didn't want to go there.
The whole world is wrong.
Okay.
All
now
right,
that we have
moving
that.
on.
Now that we have that established.
I'm staying at Feel.
Okay. Anyway, did you put that on our Twitter page? The Regis at. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. He said he saw it there.
Maybe it's perhaps it is Josh who put it there.
Okay. Well, obviously I know Regina is queen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what Elegorum is?
Elegorum.
So it's probably king and queen.
Elegorum.
It's probably, if it's Josh put it there, it's some ancient language that is maybe difficult for us to decipher.
I think Elegorum just refers to like an elegy, right? It might just be a kind of a general word for poetry. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, I like it.
Yes,
regardless
indeed.
of what it means, it sounds super cool. So Matt, he sent us two. I'll read the first one. He says, "Go on or to stay. Again, Halfling's choice decides the fate of Middle Earth."
Nice.
Good stuff, Matt.
Alive beyond hope. Sam's path is finally clear. Do what must be done. There you go.
Do what must be done.
Yeah, it really boils it down to you don't have, it's a pretty easy decision. You got to do what you got to do, right?
That's right. Like it or not.
Sometimes that can be freeing, when it's just like, well, there you go. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Don't want to do it, but you still got to.
True that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've come to the end.
We have. All right.
Unless you wanted to do some more Googling about how to pronounce feel or
no,
file.
I'm good.
Are
I'm
you
just convinced the whole world is going to be wrong.
Okay. Right on.
So, great job on the haiku today.
Yeah, I love it. I love that
we
we had so much for our 71st episode.
Love the correspondence.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take the next couple of weeks off, give ourselves a little breather, and we will be back, I expect the first week in July, when we're going to go do a couple of special episodes. One of those will include our viewing
review
of Two Towers and how we feel about it as comparison to the books, just like we did with Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
And so that'll probably be our next episode. And
sweet.
And then it won't be too long after that we get back on the road to the Lord of the Rings and pick up with Book 5, Chapter 1.
Return of the King.
2/3 of the way through.
It's crazy sauce.
2/3 of the way through the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, we're almost, we're not too far off. Special thanks to our patrons.
Yes, thanks, guys.
Executive producer William Hutton, as well as Shannon Stockbridge, Josh Sosa, Brian Orr, Margaret Lyon, Emilio Perea, Zeke Farmer, Caleb Santana, James Applegate, Douglas Underhill, Caitlin Fascista, Matt Scarrance, and Al Taylor. We really appreciate your all support.
You guys rock.
You do indeed. And remember, one more Valar spot for all time, so jump on it quick if you want to get it. You can still, of course, be a patron after that if you jump on later. But the Valar are our first 14, so we're at 13 right now. That 14th, that spot's still open, but probably won't be for long.
Nope. Maybe I'll take it. Can I be my own patron?
You need to think about that. Think about that. All right.
Just kidding, guys. I won't take it.
All right. Yeah. So
we actually let people pick what Valar they want to be.
We haven't done that yet, but we probably will in order.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Depending on when they signed up.
Cool beans.
So yeah, thanks everybody, and we will.
Thanks, guys.
We will talk at you next time.
Yeah, we will.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Peace out.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Please remember to check out truemyths.org and tolkienroad.com for show notes and plenty of other Tolkien goodness. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, would you please leave the Tolkien Road a rating and feedback on iTunes? It's a great way to support the show and takes less than a minute. Having concluded The Two Towers, we'll be taking a break for the next few weeks. We'll return in early July with some special episodes before diving into Return of the King. Please send haiku or other correspondence to tolkienroadpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, the road goes ever on.